Welcome everybody to the Culture Shock podcast. Today I'm with a special guest, Speedy Claxton in the building.
Let's
I'm so
go.
happy to have Speedy Claxton in the building. It's an honor. Just having AJ Price and now Speedy Claxton. This is a true honor. So what's up, Speedy? How you doing?
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. Looking forward to kicking it for a little bit with you guys, man.
And
Happy New Year.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy New Year, fellas.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now here with Steele and Moon, my co-host. We got so many questions we want to ask you. I kind of want to start off with high school and Chrysler King. How was that? How was that experience, and really what did it lead to as far as going towards
Looking back at it, it was dope, man. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that it was gonna turn out like this. I knew I was going into a basketball high school, if you want to say so. But then once I got there and then I saw how serious they took it, I was like, all right, this is for real now. Like I gotta get in the gym and work on my game. Like this is where I want to be at.
Was comp like top notch there? Like as soon as you got in the building, you felt like the competition and who you had to really compete to start against. Did you feel it was like it was high level?
I mean, in my class was Terrence Foster. And back then he was one of he was top 5 8th grader coming out, so I had to compete with him right away. And then in the class under me was Eric Barkley, who was in top 3 in his class. So those are the two guys that I kind of had to compete with. Minutes when we got up to the varsity level. Thankfully though, Terrence transferred out, so I really had to compete with
Now you're from Long Island, right? Like you originally grew up in Long Island?
All right, so like both people started claiming Queens and Long Island because I lived in Queens. No, this is the story. I lived in Queens up until I was 14. And then my family went on vacation, and unfortunately my house caught on fire. So then my parents thought it was a good time because the neighborhood was getting a little bad, a little sketchy. So they thought it was a good idea to move us out to Long Island. So then we moved out to Long Island when I was 14. So then I lived in Long Island ever since. But then once so I was in Long Island for high school, but I was still going to high school in Queens, but I lived in Long Island. So my 4 years of high school, I still lived in Long Island. And then once I went to college, obviously I went to college in Long Island. So it was kind of, I kind of claim both, honestly.
Yeah. What made you pick Hofstra? I want to know like the Hofstra story. What made you pick Hofstra and go there?
Honestly, they recruited me the hardest out of all the schools that were recruiting me. And then at that time, Jay Wright, who's a Hall of Fame coach, he was just a player's coach, and I just felt his passion for the game and how much he believed in me. And that's ultimately what it came down to, the belief that they had in me. And I was like, you know what? I want to go somewhere and kind of be the big fish in the small pond, because being at Chrysler King and playing for the Panthers and Riverside, I was never like the number one guy. I was always like the 2, 3, and I kind of wanted to, kind of go somewhere where it's going to be my show.
Let's continue to stay on the AAU topic. Who did you play with on Riverside? Some notable names. I'm sure there's some notable names for sure.
Yeah, Eric was on the team. Elton Brand, Willie Durst, Ron Artest. Yeah, we had a crew. And then when I played with the Panthers, it was myself, Lamar Odom, Tavares Bell, Malik Allen, LeVar Postel. So it was
team is crazy.
I was kind of bouncing back and forth between Riverside and the Panthers, and they, every time I would play one, the other would get mad at me. because it seemed like whatever team I was on, we would win the champion. We would win. We would beat the other team. So it was like, all right, who's Speedy gonna play with now?
Nah, that's insane.
Was Riverside the powerhouse? Probably number one team in New York, like Gauchos or Exodus for girls nowadays? Something of that nature?
Nah, Riverside was definitely one of the best AAU programs, around the city. It was kind of like them, the Panthers, and Gauchos for the most part back then.
Yeah, wow. That's a long reign, man. A lot of those AAU programs in the city, lasted a few decades, and they were on the elite level for that long too.
It's funny because when I got into college coaching, And then you got to familiarize with like the local AAU teams, and I'm looking for the Gauchos, Riverside, and it's like it's like PSA,
PSA
Reds,
Reds.
New
Yep.
Heights.
Right.
So I'm like, oh wow, like, it changed.
Changed over. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
That's different. Now going to Hofstra, and competing in Hofstra, what elevated your game as far as in the college level that obviously high school couldn't do, growing and getting into a bigger role and you being the big fish in that little pond, like what kind of responsibilities did you feel taking over that type of role?
Well, for one, I think I got hands-on experience with like a real basketball coach. For like throughout the most part of the day, I was with somebody, and in high school you don't really get that kind of attention to be able to work on your game. But then I was able to play through my mistakes, and I have to look over my shoulder at like an All-American coming in, the year behind me, and that's kind of why I chose Hofstra, because I wanted to go somewhere and I was going to be able to make an immediate impact and play right away. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to St. John's or Georgia Tech or Seton Hall and kind of have to sit and wait my turn. And who knows when that turn would have came? It could have been by my junior year, and by then they could have got an All-American point guard,
right?
That they had to play over me. So I just didn't want to deal with any of that, the politics behind basketball. So I just wanted to kind of go the safe route.
Right. Now, do you think that? Go ahead, man.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, but that's wonderful, because a lot of times you hear kids and they'll compare their scholarship offers based off of the past. And if you put up, UConn and St. John's versus Hofstra, 99.9% of the time, kids will do that. So it's good to hear that you went with work for you. You knew that.
This generation is different. They're all for the clickbait, the likes and the comments. So, it's of course it's sexier to say you're going to St. John's than Hofstra, but if you really trying to set yourself up to play this game professionally, you gotta go to the level that's gonna best suit you, man. And you gotta go somewhere that you're gonna have a role.
Yeah, and I think that's a great message to push nowadays, especially with the highlight culture and being able to reclass and have extra time, extra years, play on the elite circuit, on the live period, and it's just so much exposure.
At the end of the day, it's all about showcasing your talent. If you're trying to make, you're trying to make some money playing this game.
No, I do agree.
I agree with that too. Do you think that now, with you being a coach, do you think that the game is taught the right way nowadays, or do you feel like right? Yeah.
Not at all.
I love it. I love when people say that. Thank you.
No, sir, it's actually a joke. By the time we get these kids, for the most part, they have no idea how to play basketball. Like their IQ is very, very low. It's almost like, what are they teaching you at the high school level? Like I'm serious, it's really bad. Like they're not getting taught anything, and they doing these kids a disservice, man. Because now no one's corrected anything that they've done or taught them anything. So then when we get them, we're trying to teach them how to play the game the right way. Like they looking at us like, yo, like what are you talking about? Like, and then they can't grasp concepts and schemes. I'm like, wow, like this is pretty bad. Like basketball is in a bad state. Like they're just these kids nowadays, they're just wild athletic.
Right. I said
they're skilled. They are skilled. They are way more skilled than we were back in the days. But we actually knew how to play the game.
Right. I totally agree. I said that a lot. That's interesting. I've heard a lot of people recently say that. Even AJ Price said that it's completely different and taught different.
Yeah, like you'll be watching a game and you'll see somebody do something like this. Why the hell would you do that? Or,
right.
You see dude right there. Like it's like some of these plays these kids make are like mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's insane. Now, do you feel like Hofstra messed up your draft status, or do you feel like it helped your draft status when it came to being drafted?
It definitely helped my draft status, because if I was somewhere else, who knows if I would have been able to be the man on the team and get all the attention,
all the opportunities.
Yeah, going to Hofstra and being in New York, which is the media capital of the world, and doing something positive, I think it helped me.
Right. No, that's right.
If you pick Hofstra up and put it in Iowa, I don't get drafted. But because Hofstra's in New York and I had that New York media behind me, it definitely helped me.
Especially, yeah, no, that's true.
That's great. That's cool that you even even stayed home. But quick question, let's go back to high school. Did you train? Did you have a trainer?
Nah, not back. Back then coming up, we didn't have no trainers. We went
I
to
thought so.
we went to the park.
Went to the park.
We went to the park and
Yeah.
hooped. We just played.
Mm-hmm.
That the whole trainer fad that just came up, a couple years back. But like nowadays, like everybody, that's all these kids do, is have trainers. And that's why they really can't fully grasp how to play and how to compete because they don't play against each other.
Right. They don't play enough. Yeah.
Everything
I do agree.
Everything is drill work.
Yeah, no, that's true because even we was growing up, we had a lot of point guards that could think, and a lot of times,
like that, they can hit you with 10 different dribble combinations.
Not going nowhere.
They might not be able to make a post feed.
No, that's true. Even just the language is different. A lot of we grew up learning where the elbow is, how the V cut, where the wing is, and how to slant.
I told one of my kids. I told one of my kids the other day. I'm like, all right, so go make a banana cut. He was like,
yeah, a lot of kids don't know
banana cut.
What? I was like, oh my god. I'm like, what are we doing at the high school level? Like, banana cut. Cut like it's crazy.
That's disappointing.
Did you get an opportunity to ever use a shooting machine that young as well?
No, when I was coming up, they just came out.
Okay, so this is very raw. You learning a lot.
Have some bread. With some bread. The first time I actually used one was my rookie year in the NBA. The 76ers had one, and that's the first time.
No, that's fine. I actually want to dig into that. So you're selected in the 2000 draft to the 76ers. That first year, what was that first year like for you?
Man, it was a dream come true. Like it was dope because although I didn't get to play because I tore my ACL, but I still got a up close look of how the NBA is.
Right.
Like I basically had a courtside seat to every game.
No, that's fine.
It was kind of cool, to come out of college and to get drafted by a story franchise like the 76ers and to be able to follow that, be on that journey and go to like the championship my first year. Like it was crazy. Like wow, this is dope, man. I remember watching this on TV and I'm actually a part of it.
Now tell me about Allen Iverson, your teammate at the time. What did you learn from Allen Iverson and what was it like just to be playing alongside, just being around him? You know what I'm saying? Like what was that? What was that like?
It was kind of weird because I didn't grow up idolizing him, but I was a fan.
Mm-hmm.
You had to quickly stop becoming a fan and be a teammate.
Right.
It was weird because like I can't be a fan of my damn teammate. Like that makes no sense. Like we both in the NBA now. You can't be a fan anymore.
Right.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching him my first year. It made me appreciate him even more because seeing how he prepared for the game and went about everything. It's like, wow, this little dude is really nice. Everybody think they're good coming up, and obviously we're all in the NBA. But then there's levels once you get to them. Be like, all right, this dude's like he's extra special.
Did he talk a lot of shit in practice? Was he a heavy talker?
When he practiced, nah.
Yeah, was he nah? I want to know if he just shit talk while he's in practice the whole time, busting everybody's ass.
Some days, but some days he would, but he would really have to be like into it.
Right.
Going through the motions, and honestly, in the NBA, you really don't practice that much. Quite honestly, once you get to start playing games, there's no time for practice. It's really just
right.
Talk about just that journey while you get to sit on the bench, sit front row, and just physically and mentally you get to be a part of something and watch, but the spirit, just knowing that you can't actually perform.
Longest ass season
crazy
ever. I was like, I was like, man, when is the season gonna end? Like that rookie wall is true, man. That joint's for real.
Really?
Once it got to like the All-Star break, I looked. I'm like, yo, we're only February. This is crazy. And the travel is a lot. Like you basically on an airplane every other day. But it's a dope experience because you get to play basketball, you get to hoop for a living, and get to go up against like top notch competition every night. Like you're playing against the best of the best.
Right.
So that's just dope to be able to be on that stage with other people and test your game.
No, that's right. And you get moved now. You get traded, correct? If I'm correct, you get traded to San Antonio.
Yeah.
To play behind Tony Parker and the boys.
Yeah.
How was that?
That trade on draft night. That was kind of, man. That the first time you get traded, it really hurts your feelings.
Where did you learn it from? Was it your agent? Was it the TV? Like, how did you learn?
My boy called me.
What?
Yeah. I was on my way. Because like I said, it was draft night. So the draft was in New York. So I was on my way to draft parties. I'm about to go party, NBA player, draft night in my city. I'm about to live life. So I'm on my way to the city. And then I was actually going to pick my homeboy up. And he was like, yo, son. He's like, yo, niggas just traded you. I said, yo, what you way. He said, yo, you just got traded to San Antonio. I said, nah, I didn't hear that. I said, I hear nothing like that. And as soon as I said that, my phone beeped on the other end. And I looked down, it was my agent. I was like,
oh, shit.
I said, yo, I'll call you back. So I clicked over to my agent, and he gave me the news. And that joint, that ruined my night because it feels like somebody don't want you and don't think you anymore. Right. That demoralized you for a little bit, and it messed me up for a couple of days, man. Because I love Philly. I love Philly. Like I lived down there in the off season, everything. Like Larry Brown was my guy. Larry Brown's still my guy. Like, so I just thought we had such a dope relationship that he would never trade me. But when I got a chance to speak to him after it happened, because I was hurt at the time. I had torn my labrum, so I had surgery. So the Sixers still want me to rehab at the 76ers place. So I'm like, yo, this is gonna be mad awkward. Like,
wait, what?
They traded me on Thursday.
That is very awkward.
I get back in the building on Monday to rehab. Like, this is wild, crazy. So I'm like, this is gonna be awkward. So I went in there to rehab. I'm rehabbing. I see Larry Brown come into the weight room. He comes over to talk to me. And he's like, yo, Speedy, don't take this personal. He said, I love you. I love your game. You're going to be in the NBA for a long time. But you and Allen I just don't see y'all can coexist. And this is going to be better for your career. This is a better move for you. So he said, that's why I did it. He said, I did it for you. So then after that, it kind of eased me a little bit.
Now, do you believe that actually turned out that way? Like when all said and done?
I mean, me and AI couldn't coexist. I mean, 2 6-foot guards,
right?
Man, this is not possible,
right?
Me and CP did well. Me and Chris Paul did well when I was with the Hornets. But you're not gonna win big like that. You can win some games, but you're not gonna win championships with 2 6-foot guys. So ultimately, he put me in a good spot. He put me with a great organization with the Spurs. Him and Coach Pop are best of buds. So he still looked out for me. He made sure he was sending me somewhere good.
Now, they talk about Coach Pop all the time and how great of a coach he is. Learning and just being around that and the relationship building, even for your coaching nowadays, like what I'm sure you took so much just from being around Popovich and being around Duncan and Parker and those boys. So what do you take like into nowadays coaching?
That 1 year I spent in San Antonio was amazing. Like I wish I could have got to spend. I wish I would have re-signed with them, so I could spend more time with that franchise because they do everything first class. Like once I left the Spurs, then I was like, okay, now I see like the difference. Like the Spurs organization, they're a top-notch organization.
You went to Golden State after that, though, right?
Yeah, I went to Golden State, which was dysfunctional at that time. It's not what Golden State is now.
Yeah, because they had Steven Jackson and all them crazy motherfuckers on it.
But you know, like when I was with Larry, like we practice like during the season too. So he kind of like burnt you out a little bit. But Pop, he knew how to rest you. So you was always fresh for the games. So I just loved being there. Like the days Pop gave you like mad days off. So he just knew what your body needed, your body and mind needed. Like it truly was a fabulous year, man.
And that's back before they really start all this resting of all these players and all that. So that's when they play every day.
We want to do load management where we would miss games, but we wouldn't practice as much.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So he kind of knew it beforehand, like
he was way ahead of his time.
Yeah, he never cared because it was games where he get fined. He'll sit everybody.
Yeah,
had the whole backups play, all the starters on the bench, and he'll get fined for not letting them play.
I really wish I could have got to play for him more than 1 year, man, because it's truly a blessing.
Let's talk about that Golden State team because I'm a big basketball fan, but my favorite team is the Sacramento Kings from that 99 to like 04 era. But
Bibby and
C. Webb and Bobby Jackson and Stojakovic.
And they were good, man.
Doug Christie, those are my guys. But Golden State, let's talk about your time at Golden State because to me that was a very exciting team. That was more like how Golden State is now.
Okay, so I wasn't on that team. I left right before the game. I actually got traded for BD. That's how BD.
See, that's all. Yeah,
you did.
Yeah,
I thought y'all was on the same team for one season.
No. We actually got traded for each other.
You was right, Pat. Dang, I thought y'all was on the team for one season.
At the trade deadline. That was a funny story too because we had played New Orleans in New Orleans a week prior, and then I went out for lunch, in the city, and I'm like, God damn, this city dirty as hell. I'm like, I would never want to play. Seriously. And a week later, I got traded. Like, oh my God! I said, no way. I said, get out of here. I said,
manifested that.
And then I was actually playing. I was actually playing well in Golden State. Like I had, career highs and everything. I was averaging 30 points, 6 assists. I was a starting point, but everything was good. And I was in line to get a significant pay raise.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then they traded me for BD, and I went to New Orleans, and New Orleans was terrible, like team-wise and seed-wise. Like, they weren't going to no playoffs. Not that Golden State was going to the playoffs, but New Orleans, they had won like maybe like 10 or 12, a handful of games that year.
Right.
So I didn't want to be there either because they losing, not into it. So once I got traded there, man, it felt like that season was over. It was a waste. And it's a shame because, like I said, I was averaging 13 and 6 that year.
Now, when you get traded and you see the different levels in the teams, and obviously a team that's not going to make the playoffs and make the playoffs, does that kind of fuel you to change your role, or does every single time you understand, like, hey, when I go out on the court, I have to do this, I have to do that, or is it different everywhere you go and you understand that?
Yeah, when you get to that level, you're a professional, so you got to put your best foot forward, no matter what your role is. Because obviously it changes from year to year. Because so once I got traded midway, that year, I was so disappointed and so heartbroken that I was having a good year. I got traded. I didn't play once I got to New Orleans. I just said I was hurt or whatever. It was only like 15 games left anyway, and so going into that next year, that summer, they had drafted. That next year was going to be my contract year. I was going into my contract year, so I definitely
Chris Paul. Yeah,
I definitely needed to go have a good year because I to get paid. So then that summer they freaking draft Chris Paul, and the politics of the NBA. You get
of course
if you have a high draft rate, they are playing them, especially if the team is bad.
Right.
So we were bad, so I already knew that they were going to be playing CP over me, and this is my contract year. So I'm like, damn, this is not a good situation for me to be going into. So I'm there trying to call I'm talking to my agent. We trying to get out of there, and they won't trade me. They said no, they like me, and I'm gonna play. So I'm like, man. So he's like, yo, you just gotta go there and make the best of the situation. So I was like, this, all right, man. So I went in there with an open mind, and honestly, went on to have a great year. I got runner up to the 6th man of the year, and CP is one of my best friends to this day.
Yeah, I saw that video, I think on Instagram or something with CP hugging you and saying something. Like, I think it might have been on your Instagram where I seen that.
Yeah, I posted it.
Yeah, no, that's dope. How was it playing alongside Chris Paul, the mind of Chris Paul, the young boy at that time?
It was cool, man. And you just knew from day one that he was gonna be what he is today.
Right.
Because not to toot my own home, but it's kind of like playing with myself. I'm like, yo, this dude, because I'm a cerebral player, and I was like, yo, this dude, like that's why we played so well together, because we both just knew the game, and we didn't even have to talk. We just knew, like, okay, somebody's over playing me, cool. I'm going back door. He knew I was going back door. He hit me.
Right.
Like when you're playing with other cerebral guys, it makes the game so much easier to play. Like it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, we grew up that way. We had J Kids, D Will. We had so many guards, and now it seems like Chris Paul is, one of the only ones left in the pass first kind of nature.
Dying breed, man.
So
they really are.
I mean, it does that. His game and mastering certain things, the mid range, and learning how to pace and shift and use your body.
It's not
longevity.
It's not so many players nowadays that have that kind of IQ that he has.
Right.
But I mean, in my mind, he's top 3 all time point guard.
Me too. Thank you.
I honestly don't think he gets the credit.
He don't. He don't.
Like every team that he went to, he boosted their winning percentage.
Yeah. The biggest hurt of my life is when the Lakers got Chris Paul for 10 minutes and then the shit got vetoed, man. That being a Kobe fan, I was hurt.
I would have loved to see what him and Kobe would have done, man.
Bro, when I tell you I ran all over my house when I seen that news, I was hyped. I was like, yeah, Kobe about to play with my boy Chris. Is about to go crazy.
Chris was dumb hype.
Man.
That can't happen right there.
And then he go right into the next locker room and he throwing lobs and shit, and the Lakers are starting to fall apart. I'm like,
the Clippers were a laughing stock at that point until he got there.
Right.
Then all of a sudden they became a championship team.
Yep. And I think he would have saved Kobe and Dwight. Truthfully, I think that Kobe and Dwight, how they broke up, I think he would have held them together if he was their point guard.
He could have, quite possibly. But even a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago, it's probably 3 or 4 years ago, when he got traded to Oklahoma City, like Oklahoma City was butt, and he still
he helped them young boys out.
He really did help those young boys out. Yep, Dort especially. I feel like he really helped with Dort.
You have to get that man his flowers, man.
For sure. But people always find a way to hate. This is always.
Of course, because he didn't win a championship. But listen, just because you don't win a championship, I mean that doesn't take away from your career. And
like Charles Barkley, right?
That doesn't take away from your career. Like, it's hard for a 6-foot guard to lead his team to win a championship. Like, I mean, you're playing against much bigger guys. Like,
right?
That's gonna be hard.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the hype. Even just watching Iverson win one game, you know how many people thought that you guys were gonna win another one? Like,
I don't think that's what I'm saying. Like, he willed us to one victory, but that's gonna be too hard, man. You're playing like the wings in the NBA are 6'7", 6'6", 6'7". Those are 2 guards.
Wingspan, crazy.
I don't think people really understand that. Like, I don't think people understand what it looked like to be on an NBA court with these guys. Like, the length and athleticism is off the charts.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let's transition to some coaching for a little bit. As a coach, are you allowed, or do you refer your kids to any trainers or outside sources, or you like to keep everything in-house at Hofstra and you'll bring people in if you need to?
Once they're on campus and in school, they're with us. But once they're home, from like they're basically with us all the time. But they're not with us for June and August. And at that point, they pretty much get time to rest. If they have their own personal trainer, then they do, but we don't really provide that, or we don't really care for it. We still get them a workout plan of what we need them to work on.
Right. Okay.
What's your biggest goal since you got into Hofstra to coach? What is your biggest accomplishment you want to get to as far as coaching that school?
Oh, for me, is to make the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's for a mid-major, that's a win for us just to get to the
Right.
tournament because it's extremely hard because only one team from our conference is going to go, and we ultimately have to win our conference tournament in order to go. So if I do that'll be amazing.
Right.
I'll probably hang it up.
Let's talk about models, persona, character. You are a young black coach, and especially on your level, we're starting to see a lot more black coaches, which is great, female and male as well. But just talk about some of the struggles that you may have, or some other black coaches may have when it's time to go sit in certain kids' living rooms and convince kids that to come to Nassau County, to come to New York.
I mean, honestly, since I've been into coaching, I haven't had a problem getting into living rooms and open up doors and the whole recruitment thing. I think it's going to change now with the whole NIL landscape because now these kids
get that money.
Yeah, they're getting paid, like really getting paid, and now these kids aren't basing their decisions on playing time, style of play, fit, all that type of stuff. They're basing their decisions strictly on financial gains, like who's paying them the most money, and it's going to put some kids in a bad situation because they're going to get there and they're going to get the short money, but they're going to miss out on the long money.
Right, man, that's powerful right there.
Professional money. So like, I'm not going to say any names, but there was a situation where a kid was on campus this past September at his school, and then a bigger school, went through some illegal stuff, went through the back channels, got to his peoples, and offered him like $80,000 through NIL, and he went into the coach's office, and he told the coach like, "Listen, I don't want to leave, but I have to leave because this is life-changing money for my family."
Wow,
that's tough.
And now the kid is at the school, and I was actually just watching him play last night to see if he got any playing time, and he played 7 minutes. So it's short money, but these kids are gonna jump at it because most of these kids come from bad backgrounds. They don't come from much, so the money that these colleges are throwing at them is life-changing, but it's also short-term money.
And is that the message that you try to preach to your players as well?
Yeah, the kids that I I'm recruiting. Yeah, hell yeah, because that gotta be my sellers. Like, don't go for the short money, go for the long money.
Right. Now, Speedy, before we get out of here, I got a question that I usually ask everybody on every podcast. The word culture. When you think of the word culture, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Don't got to be a big answer, but when you think of the word culture, what is the first thing that really comes to your mind?
For me, it's the black culture and helping the future generations and putting them in better situations than the prior generation was in. It's all about moving the black culture forward and getting equal opportunities as everybody else.
That's a perfect answer. Speedy, I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for being here on behalf of me and Steal the Move. Really appreciate just your time, your effort, your commitment to coaching and really putting on Long Island how it should be put on, man. And we really appreciate you, man.
Me, man.
Thank you, man. This is Culture Shock, and we out. Appreciate you.